Callers Bigfoot Radio.
Good evening and welcome to Night Callers Bigfoot Radio. It is January 21st, 2018. You're here with your hosts, Lori Hood, Lauren Smith, and Ricky Smith. How you doing tonight?
Doing real good. How are you?
I am fantastic. Warm. It was 70 degrees here today in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I know. It's insane. Insane. I actually had to run an air conditioner last night because I have this really heavy comforter on the bed, and it was like I was pulling that thing off and going, turn that AC on. Man, yeah, it's like you don't know how to act. It's
I don't
terrible.
either. I went, yesterday was so beautiful, and so I decided I was going to clean out my car because it was disgusting, and from, a month of straight cold, I'm not getting out there to clean out my car. So I go clean out my car. Well, everybody in the Tulsa metro area decided they were going to do that as well. So it was busy at the car washes. But it was good.
It's supposed to be that way all week here. And they're saying that I may have severe storms tonight. So I hope I don't. I hope I don't get. But I got a charged up phone. I may lose my switchboard, but I'll still be on the air. We lost John Bindernagel this week, and I just wanted to let everyone out there that does not know he did pass this week, and he's a legend, and he will be missed.
Yes.
And we love you, John. And I did have something else to share, but I cannot think of what it is right now. I'm just excited about our guest tonight. I did not realize that these two guys were so popular. Oh, my goodness. I mean, they're so down to earth, and so nice and everything. Usually guys like that just kind of blend into the, but they are very well liked. I could not believe all the shares to get this show out there and around, and there's no telling how many people are listening tonight. And we're very, very honored to have Mark Newbill and Larry Porch II here tonight. And so if it's all right with you, Lauren, how about we go ahead and bring them on, because they have some great audio to share and lots of stories, and we're going to get to them now. All right. So anyway, Night Callers Bigfoot Radio presents Mark Newbill and Larry Porch II. Welcome, guys. How are you doing tonight?
Doing fantastic.
Doing great.
Thank you so much for having us on.
Thank you for being here.
It is our honor. I've always just, I just think you guys are awesome. I'm a fan. They have a group called the Sawdustt group. I think I'm getting that right. B.E.A.S.T, Sawdustt B.E.A.S.T.
Yes,
what's the
it's
correct way to say? Yeah, B.E.A.S.T. Okay, what does B.E.A.S.T stand for? Because everyone's going to want to know.
It stands for Bigfoot Evidence Analyst Sawdustt Team.
Okay. And the motto is boots on the ground, basically. And all right. Okay, now I want you guys, first Mark and then Larry, tell us a little about yourself and how you got interested in Bigfoot in the first place.
Well, I've always had an interest in Bigfoot, and I worked a job for about 25 years doing swing shift on a 7-day rotation, and you only got one weekend off a month. And so when that started dwindling down from doing that job, I decided just to go into it head first. And I guess it was about 6 years ago, I was searching around for people that was interested in researching and couldn't find nobody. And I came across an article on the internet about Robert Swain giving his Arkansas Bigfoot conference. So me and a friend of mine that's actually Larry and I's research partner now, Shelley, we took over to Viola, Arkansas, and went to the Bigfoot conference, and just super nice guys there. And I met DW from the MABRC, and I signed up, and I've just been going ever since. I've never stopped. I think I researched in 8 states last year.
Wow. You really have been going. You really have.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. For me, we always say it's camping with a plus. And
yes.
the plus is boogers, and Larry and I love to camp.
I do too. I do too. Okay, Larry, let's hear about you.
Well, pretty much my passion started whenever I was younger. I was probably about 10 years old out at the family farm. We'd had a pretty big snowstorm for West Tennessee. I think we had like 6 to 8 inches of snow on the ground. And I like to get out with my BB gun and try to track a rabbit or shoot something. So I was out and about and come across a trackway that come across a pretty big field, and it was a bare human foot it wasn't a lot bigger than mine, but it was a little bigger at 10, so it was probably a 10-inch print to 11. And I just, from that point, was interested in the subject. I never saw what made it or anything, but I tried to get my family to come look at it, and of course, you being 10 years old, they think you took your shoes off and run across the field or whatever, but I assure you that wasn't the case. But I just, from that point on, any of the In Search Of or any of the shows like that had the topic of Bigfoot, I always enjoyed them. And I met Mark through an organization here in Tennessee, and we started going out and going to LBL and started collecting some good audio evidence and seeing structures and things, and it just become a real deal to me, instead of something you see on TV. At that point, I always thought they were out in the Pacific Northwest and there wasn't really anything around here, and then I started hearing more accounts of people seeing them in this area and getting out and doing things, and Mark and I started hitting it pretty hard and finding and hearing a lot of stuff, so it's just become a passion. And like he said, I enjoy camping, so that's just a little offshoot of a good camping trip.
It really is. It makes it a little more exciting. I love the camping part, but the Bigfoot part of it really makes it exciting. I remember when I first started in it, I didn't sleep all night. I would stay up all night long, and then everybody else would be getting up. Well, then I'd have to be out there, and I'm going to tell you, after 3 days, I was just punch drunk because I had not had any sleep at all. And so, oh my gosh, I'm glad I've calmed down a little bit, and now I can go to sleep. I let my recorder catch what I can't catch anymore, so...
Right.
Okay. I know you all have some stories, so what do we want to start with? We've got 90 minutes, so we've got plenty of time. What would you like to start talking about first?
Well, we had something real recent.
Oh,
I was
great.
speaking at the Oklahoma Bigfoot Symposium, and we were camping out, and Larry and I do a lot of hammock camping, like where everybody's camping in one area. Larry and I got on the four-wheeler and crossed the creek and went about a mile away where nobody was at. We set up hammocks, and we slept in hammocks. And one of the nights, about the time that we were just got into our hammock, and you're still moving around a little bit and getting yourself situated, we heard one of the most awesome screams that just echoed down that creek bottom that we were right up above. And I believe you have the audio.
Yes, I do. I do. How in the world can you sleep? I know tents aren't much safer, but I feel like at least there's a barrier there. You know, in a hammock, they could just twist you around in like a tortilla.
Like a taco, yeah.
Yeah, like a taco, and just sling you over their back and do an Albert Osterman with y'all. And, I mean, that was just... Have you ever had, I'm going to play the audio in a minute. I just have to ask this. Have you ever felt like something touched you while you were in the hammock?
No, but as we get into the story, Larry will tell what happened. That it was really, really close to us. And moving around, walking around. And, but I don't know. Larry and I are an awful lot alike that we do not spook easy. And our nerves do not, you're not going to scare us. You know, if you're trying to scare us, you're not going to scare us. You may get elbowed in the face from a reaction from us, but you're not going to spook us because we're not jumping. We're not jumpy people. It's just the way that we're wired.
Now, we may get our head ripped off one night, but we're not going to run.
We don't run. It's funny because, we're in the Outlaws, and you hear Kumbo and Bear tell stories, and we were running for the trucks. Well, me and Larry don't run. We're not running.
That's a good idea. Well, I'll have to ask you, before I play this recording, did you do any calls or anything before this recording, before you recorded this? Or was this just...
No.
Okay.
No
we did
calls.
not. We did not, but actually somebody did do call blasting before.
Oh, I see.
And another camper was up the creek and messing with this guy, and they got into an argument. So that's part of the reason why when we got in our hammock and we heard this, that we just rolled on into our hammock and went to sleep.
Oh, my goodness.
But when Mark put it on the spectrogram, it didn't match any known human vocal range. It was out of the range for a human. So we might not have slept so well if we'd have known that it was the real deal, especially as close as it was.
Okay, well, I know everybody's ready to hear this, so I'm going to go ahead and play it. And I hope Blog Talk does not distort it, because it's been trying to do that here lately. So let's see. Wow, let's hear that again. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know why that sounds authentic to me? It has a human quality to it. That's why it doesn't sound like a wolf or a coyote.
Right.
A human sound to it.
And when you look at it on the spectrogram, it is exactly what an audio analyst is looking for as far as a purported Bigfoot vocalization. And that recording really doesn't do itself justice, because when we were laying in hammocks, I don't know about Larry, but I could feel that in my core. It was just so loud, and then it just echoed all the way down that creek bed.
And so now you're trying to tell me, after you heard that, you crawled up in the hammocks and went to sleep?
Yes.
Yes, we did. And where the call came from, we had just crossed that creek, approximately where this whatever it was made that call. We had to have driven within 50 to 100 yards of it, most likely.
Yeah, no doubt.
Holy cow, I just cannot. I would have been so excited. It would have took me at least an hour to calm down, to go to sleep. Not scared, but just excited to have that capture. You know, did I get that, you know?
Well, at that point, we were unsure of the authenticity of it. So
yes,
we kind of blew it off at that point.
Okay. So speaking of this spectrogram, can you explain to our listeners how you analyze your audio real quick, so that when we listen to the other ones, they'll know that they've been analyzed? So how do you go about doing that?
Well, every animal in the animal kingdom has their own frequency signature. And so, like on our B.E.A.S.T page, we keep stuff in our files so that you can go to, if you want to see what, like a coyote frequency looks like, you can actually go and see what it looks like. It actually looks like a tree with limbs on one side of it, and it will go from, it'll go up to, 3,000 hertz on it, and it looks like half a tree. But a booger kind of looks like a long upside down, a long frown, of a mouth. Is what it kind of looks like. Owls look like upside down V's stacked on top of each other. So all animals have their own little signature, and so do humans. So whenever you go to some of your libraries and you look at things, it's no doubt that you cannot find the frequency signature of a booger on there. Like if you go and you upload a coyote howl, it's not going to look like that booger, And there's nothing on these college libraries that show, anything that looks like a booger's signature.
So have you compared the booger signature to a human signature to see if there's any similarities?
Yes. There's part of the frequency you will see a little bit, but it is a totally different signature. Totally different.
Okay, and when you use Audacity, is that correct? You use Audacity to develop your spectrograms and all that. And anyone that does recording is interested in learning this. He can help you with that. Mark can help you with that. Or we're hoping he'll put out a video that will show us how to do it. And there's some others out there. Andrew Messenger, am I saying his name right?
Andrew Meisinger?
Meisinger.
Yes.
Meisinger. Okay.
Yes.
And he also has some information out there, too, on how to analyze your own. And I promise, Mark, I am going to learn. The holidays are over now. I'm ready to dig in and learn how to do this. Because I truly...
That is really what our B.E.A.S.T page was, why I started it.
And this is on Facebook, correct?
This is on Facebook. And what it was, Shelley, Larry, myself, we were going to LBL and setting out recorders, and I figured out a way that, what I'd done was I used 16 gigabyte memory cards and lithium batteries, and we could stretch the recording time to over 100 hours. Well, when you set out 5 or 6 recorders, that's 500 or 600 hours of captured audio that has to be listened to minute by minute. And,
you can't trust the looking for peaks. That's not
right.
Most of the good stuff is hid in the baseline, and and we wasn't even putting a dent in this audio, and we were chomping at the bit to get back out in the woods. And Andrew Meisinger and Mike McSwain jumped in to give us a hand, but, we really couldn't keep up with it. So I came up with this idea that if we could start a group and we could train people how to analyze audio, and then we could help each other by reviewing each other's audio for one another. So it didn't matter what part of the country that you lived in, if you had 100 hours and you needed help listening to it, then we could all jump in together and listen to this audio. And but I don't know. Everybody likes to go out and record, but nobody likes I really like listening. It's just it's a time constraint for me. I don't really have the time to do it, and
and you definitely have to get inside your bubble. You can't be running in and out because you'll miss something. And so you got to say, I'm going to set aside 30 minutes, and I'm just going to sit down and prepare for it and listen to this 30 minutes and concentrate on it.
Yes. And that's the way I usually did mine. I did it in hour segments. And I would try to listen to 1 or 2 hours every evening till I completed that 16 hours from that one night. And it would take me a whole week to listen to one night. Oh, my goodness. Continue about your hammock story. I know there's more that happened after you heard this howl. So what did you do? Just go to sleep?
I went to sleep, and
yes, they did.
Larry's laughing because our buddy Slade Monk forfeited and handed over the heavyweight snoring ship belt to me because I felt like I'm calling the hogs, and so I slept all through all of this, and probably me and Larry were probably 30 feet apart. Our hammocks, and I'll let Larry tell what happened.
There's nothing lonelier, Larry, than being in a hammock 30 feet away from your friend over there who is snoring and oblivious to anything that's going on. And all of a sudden you realize you're not alone.
Yes,
How
you're
that
correct.
happen?
It was interesting. Well, that night we'd been over at the fire hanging out with the Sisters of the Moon, Debbie Jones, Carrie Martin, Henry, and they had one of their other, what they call stepsister, Patty, there with them, and we'd hung out there till about 12, and then we rode the four-wheeler across the creek, and as soon as my butt hit the hammock, that's when that vocalization happened. I mean, we hadn't hardly cut off the four-wheeler, but
wow.
We went ahead and went to sleep because, like I said, we didn't know if it was somebody call blasting, if it was somebody messing around or what, till Mark ran it on the spectrogram. But as I went to sleep, I'd had some allergies that weekend, and I had taken medication, but I had finally broke through on some of it. But I was laying there asleep, and I started smelling something, and it woke me up. And I was just laying there still smelling, and I'm like, is that my breath? And I'm sitting there sniffing, and I'm like, no, that ain't my breath. But I'm still perfectly still, and I can hear something start walking directly away from my head, and it's not 30 yards from me whenever I hear it. Oh. So the smell goes away, and I can hear this loud walking, and it's bipedal. And Mark, he's just sitting there snoring away, don't have a clue. And I'm sure whatever this was heard my breathing change whenever I woke up, and I started smelling, to see what the smell was. But as it hit there was some bigger rocks in the little four-wheeler path that was probably 30, 40 yards from me. When it hit those, I had a thermal camera on my chest, I had a light on my waistband, and I had a pistol on my side. I reached for the thermal and tried to turn, but it was going directly away from my head, and in a hammock, you can't turn very well without falling out. So whenever I couldn't get turned around to where I could view it through the thermal, I just held the thermal up and recorded, just hoping I caught it, and I didn't. But I just put the thermal back in and laid there a little while longer, and it got still as soon as I turned that thermal on and held it up. But as I laid back still, didn't move, didn't jump up and turn on a light and start shining it around, but then I heard it move again, and it moved off toward the creek away from us. And Mark never did wake up. I laid there for a while and listened, and I never heard anything else. And believe it or not, I went back to sleep, and then I heard something else walking up, and I got the thermal out, and this time it seemed to be an armadillo or a raccoon this time. But It sounded totally different. But at that point, I was, I was pretty uneasy and listening for everything. But I saw the animal go right by Mark, and Mark still snoring away, never thought nothing. It could have took me and run off, and Mark would have still been sitting there snoring, I'm sure. But
I'll wear that badge with honor.
But I have
nothing
no
but
idea.
A couple of strings left the next morning.
Yeah. It had to be fairly close, though, for me to smell it, and I know it was within 30 yards of me. I just don't know how close it was at other times, but I'm pretty sure Mark sent you the audio of it throwing things at us, trying to see if it could get us awake, and you can hear it walking around also.
Well, question is, before I play it, what did it smell like?
Oh, I tell everybody it smelled like a wet, mangy dog that had feces stuck to it. I'll say it nicely. Oh. It was not a very good smell, and that's why I was hoping it wasn't my breath.
aren't you glad that you don't have
I am glad.
halitosis?
That's right.
Well, okay. We are fixing to play the Something Thrown. And it's only 3 seconds, so I'm going to play it like 3 times. Okay? So we'll see here. Well, let me turn it up a little bit here. Oh, gosh. Wow. So it ricocheted, didn't it? Like it bounced.
And
Let me try it again.
I just...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that happened twice before the walking around where we were at. To me, it was almost like it was standing on that trail and just threw something to see if we were really asleep. To see if lights would come on or zippers opening or whatever,
Yeah. That was a test.
Yes.
And you guys passed. You didn't move. See, everybody else would probably say, well, let's go out there and light them up. Let's see what's going on out here.
Yeah, but that never woke up. That's what gets me about it. The walking and throwing the objects didn't wake Larry up. It was the stench of the odor that woke him up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man. Well, I have smelt them, as much as like 50 yards away. If they're really potent, I've smelled them that far away. Actually could see it, so I knew it was there and could smell it, but it was just in waves. It wasn't very strong. So when you smell it really strong, they say that you are not, I've even had people tell me it's their breath. I think it was Bear that said that you may be smelling their breath on sometimes. And if you're smelling their breath, you're really
pretty close.
That's pretty close. That's like breathing down your neck. Okay, we have another one here. It's called Movement, and this is from the hammock. And this all took place in Oklahoma, or was it LBL?
No, that was in Oklahoma, and
okay.
And this is an edited version of this where I just, it wasn't just like constant trumping around. It would like move and stop and move and stop. And so just to make the clip shorter, I just put, just the movement together.
Okay. All right. Let's play this. Definitely hear someone snoring.
That was Mark Newbill, I promise.
You are no snorer, Mark. God.
And you wonder why I don't have no woman.
And you wonder why I sleep 30 yards away from him.
Well, that is the thing, though, that you do get. I know that I'm a snorer. I wish I wasn't, but I'm a snorer myself. And I will never forget one night I was listening to a recording that I had done while I was out tent camping. And I heard this sound. I didn't know what it was. I go, what? How every sound just about. But this was like, what is this? And I finally realized it was me. I recorded myself snoring, and it was so weird, So, yeah. You get campfire smoke and all of that. By the time you go to bed, your nose is all, you're messed up by then. So I'm going to play this again one more time. Maybe it will let me. Definitely moving like a squatch moves. You know, they're very, very careful, but at the same time, they can make some noise. But I know that other times they don't make any noise at all. How they get out of there without making a single sound is beyond me.
Yeah.
It's like they leave and you never heard them leave. But you almost always hear them coming. So this the next morning, I guess Larry was probably pretty aggravated at you because you missed everything.
I can't remember what I said to him the next morning. I think it was something like, "Well, you missed it. You slept right through it," or something. I'm not sure what I said. That's probably being nice. I'm not sure.
Was there any more to this story? If that wasn't enough.
I believe that was it as far as that night.
Yeah, it was.
And so, how about the other camp, the ladies of Sisters of the Moon? Did they have anything? Did they have anything happen the same night? The same visitor or anything like that?
No, I don't believe they had. I think they may have heard movement, but we're never sure what they heard. And I know that there were 2 possible sightings during this weekend campout. But I don't know, the details behind it. So Mark may know more about them than me, but I know one was a possible sighting on a night hike, and another guy was coming into camp and saw one cross the road in front of him, I believe. And I think they got a foot cast out of that.
Wow. Well, it's a lovely area. And I really enjoy camping out there. It's just beautiful there. And I did get that recording, which y'all analyzed, which y'all said was a booger. And I had just wished that I had put that recorder a little closer to the edge of the mountain. It was having to come up the mountain and over top of the mountain to reach my recorder. So it was so far away. Would have been an awesome one to catch a little closer. Next time I'll know.
I do think we did have a rock stone in the creek one night while we were there too, didn't we, Mark?
Yeah, we sure did. And there was, there was Sisters of the Moon there. Compressor Mike was there. There was several people around, and it was coming off a ledge, a tall, high rock ledge, and they were hitting the water.
Wow.
We almost always have some type of activity when we go to this one place.
Wow. And so do you do any kind of baiting or calls or anything like that? I noticed I've got here Larry mimics an owl.
We really didn't because we were with we were at a MABRC event, and as you know, with the Outlaws calls, we've Kumbo and Bear have taught us those calls, and we respect them, and their fear is somebody will use one of those calls and get themselves into trouble. And so whenever we're around other groups or other people that are not outlaws, we don't use those calls. So we really
Okay.
wasn't doing any calling that weekend.
Okay. Yes, I am still on, Lauren. Are you there, Lauren? I guess she's Facebooking me, asking me if I'm still on. I'm still here, right?
Yeah, you're here.
I'm hearing you.
Okay. Okay.
We may
she
be
got
talking to
booted off.
ourselves, but
Okay. Well, let's move on to the yes. Are you there, Ricky?
I guess Lauren got booted or something. She's trying to get back on.
Okay, I see her, but
She went to put Adam down and. Hey, I missed it. Where did you guys say you was camping at in Oklahoma?
It was near the Stillwell area.
Okay. I haven't been out there yet.
and Ricky is an avid hammock camper, by the way.
Every single time I go to
really?
the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, I build
Cool.
all my own hammocks.
Yeah,
Cool.
he builds his
We'll
own
have
hammocks.
we'll have to talk.
They win. They win. I've built probably close to 60 hammocks now, and I only had one that failed, and that was due to the guy that was sleeping in it. He went on a kayaking trip, and it stayed wet for like 5 days. And when he left it packed wet, so it mildewed, and when he stretched it back out the next time, he fell right through the middle of it. My hammock, I'm trying to get into this lightweight stuff, and right now I'm making them around 9 to 11 ounces, depending on the size.
Wow. Me and Larry may talk to you about that, because we do we hike in, and like at LBL we have to hike in. They don't allow 4-wheelers, and so you know, the lighter the better.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Well, we'll have to get you two hooked up then.
You guys put up a tarp, or what do you do for a cover?
If it's summertime, I don't even bother with a tarp. But if it's wintertime and you've got a frost or something, yes, you want a tarp over you.
Awesome.
yeah, I
haven't started making tarps yet. I've made one underquilt so far, and I'm working on building another one.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk to you about that.
That's fine with me.
Okay, now we're going to get back to the program here. Let's see. LBL. LBL is Land Between the Lakes, and it is in northern Tennessee. Is that correct?
Yes, it's part of it, the southern parts in Tennessee and the northern parts in Kentucky. And it's just it's the largest inland peninsula in the United States. The Tennessee River's on one side and Barkley Lake is on the other, and it's just a beautiful area. I believe there's, 300 miles of shoreline or something like that, and it's just a very isolated place.
I need to check real quick. Lauren, are you with us?
I'm here.
Okay. All right. Okay, so Larry, and both of you guys are from the Tennessee area, born and raised in Tennessee. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
So you've probably visited the LBL your entire life. Is that right?
Larry has, but I wasn't, when I first got into boogering, I wasn't that familiar with it. And before I knew Larry, a feller by the name of Mike McSwain would take me up there and show me all the back roads and how to get in and out and such as that. Larry and I probably have spent in the past 3 years more time researching LBL than probably anyone else. Because when we go,
go, yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, we're up there every 2 or 3 weeks, and spending, anywhere from a weekend to a week up there at a time.
Do you ever get aggravated when people ask you if you've ever seen a dogman, because the dogman is so associated with LBL? I mean,
well, probably not a lot of people are going to want to hear this, but and I call them man dogs. I don't call them dogmen. I call them man dogs. That's a bearism. And
is it?
and but probably in the past 3 to 4 years, we have probably reviewed 7,000 hours of audio from LBL, and there is not but one unidentifiable vocalization on the spectrogram, and that's what we believe is a purported Bigfoot. We have never recorded anything of any other animal that we could not identify. And so that's what gives me doubts about man dogs, is that we haven't came across no evidence. And Larry and I, we're very skeptical, and we want to see the evidence. If the evidence points that way, then we're going to go that way. But we haven't seen anything to point us that there are man dogs. Not saying that there's not, but until I see evidence, I'm not going to, there's so many stories, people, it almost sounds like you can't step out of your vehicle without a Bigfoot or a man dog, ripping your head off.
And that's absolutely not the case.
That's not the case.
So you two have been there quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so does it seem like they're extremely elusive there versus Oklahoma? What is the comparison between the two areas?
They're very quiet. You don't get it all. We have more luck tricking them and calling them in than we do just actually laying there and hearing one or whatever. We have when we go out with Dan, Ricky, and Vicky Fulcher, we'll go out at night and call them, and if we're at the right spot at the right time, and we get return vocalizations, that's where we really hear them at, and that's what's really cool about that LBL 13 howls that we recorded, because that was just awesome.
Yes, especially if you've done 7,000 hours and this is all that you've been able to, well, probably not all, but just goes to show how reclusive they really are. So was this...
Well, I also think that LBL is overrun because of the notoriety it has in this field. I think it gets bombarded by people that really, I'm not going to say I have a clue what I'm doing, but some people have less of a clue than I do and go out there and do things. But I think the average novice that's just interested in it hears all these stories and radio shows about LBL, so they go there trying to have an experience. And then you have people that will fabricate stories and say they drove in and were surrounded as soon as they got out by 3, and then they drove down the road and saw 3 more. I wish that would happen, because I would really enjoy that. But we go and we go and we go, and we put in a lot of time and a lot of effort, and either we're the unluckiest people in the world or the other guys are that just step out of their vehicle and they're having to flee for their lives. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I kind of think that based on my experience, I'm inclined to believe you because I know that it's not, I know I've had several sightings and some people might say, well, that's just unbelievable. But you've got to think these sightings were years apart. You know, the last time I saw one was 7 years ago. You know, I'm almost the point where I don't believe in them anymore. No, that's not true. I haven't seen one in 7 years. So, you know, you've got to think if you've been doing it for 17, 18 years, then, and you've seen 4, you know, and you saw 1 twice, well, then, you know, that's pretty good. You know, I think that's real good. But, like I said, it's been 7 years since the last one. So I would love to see another one, kind of get my Bigfoot blood pumping again. So,
you know, you being a researcher and a camper, you know what it's like to be in the dark, in the middle of the woods, no lights, and you're hearing all this stuff. And if you let your mind trick you, it will run away from you. And you think everything is a booger, an armadillo, you know, going by or something. You will think it's a booger, and you get scared and you start reacting off that fear, and next thing you know, you're jumping in a vehicle, spitting gravel going down the road. And I think that may be what a lot of it is. People get out and, you know, you're in the middle of nowhere, you know. There's nothing to save you. And if your nerves aren't where they should be and you're not in your bubble, then your imagination is going to take off on you.
I've got a pretty good story that goes along with this subject here. Mark and I were in LBL, and the area we go to, which LBL is blocked off by roads, so about as far off the road you can get is about 3/4 of a mile to a mile. So we try to go in the middle of these areas and camp. And this one area we'd went in and we'd set up. It was probably 28 degrees that night, I believe. I was sitting at the campfire and had my FLIR, and we try to give them the upper hand. We try to stay in the valley so it allows them to have the high ground to get around us, to look at us or whatever.
Yes, that's a good idea.
I'm scanning with a FLIR, and I see something, and I tell Mark, I think we got company. And I look in the FLIR, and it looks just like a humanoid figure peeking out from around a tree on the thermal. And I keep watching it, and it just sits there. And I'm like, Mark, take his FLIR and look at this angle.
And it had a heat signature, too, right?
Yes.
It had a heat signature.
Yes, it had a heat signature. So Mark looks at it, and he says, that's something for sure. You would agree, Mark, it looked like a humanoid figure peeking out from behind a tree, right?
And it was painted on that thermal. I mean, it was just lit up like a Christmas tree, looking like a humanoid figure peeking around the tree.
But Mark hands the thermal back, and we just sat there at the fire, and he says, well, just look up there occasionally and see if it's still there, if it moves, whatever. So we sat around, talked, and we probably ate supper. I don't know, but I'd look, and it'd still be there. And so, I mean, a normal person, when they first saw that, they'd have probably been heading back to the vehicle. But we sat there enough that we were convinced that it was an anomaly of some sort.
Right.
So for some reason, we didn't walk up there toward it. I don't know. We just after it didn't move, we just kind of forgot it. But the next couple of times we went back, we would look up there to see if it was there. and it wasn't. And I'll let Mark take up the story from there.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it's real important for us to try to debunk our own evidence, and we will give 110% in doing that. I would rather debunk my own evidence than somebody get on the internet and debunk it for me. And
I know.
And so
nothing worse.
Yeah,
you got that right.
So we went back like the next weekend, and there wasn't nothing lit up or nothing like that. And, we went back another time, nothing like that. And I told Larry, I said, we need to get these, need to get the weather just like what it was. And it was going to get back down around freezing again. And so we went back out the next time, and that's what it was. It had to do with, I guess, the sunshine on this part of a tree. And
well, actually, it was a knot that was open up, and water was inside of that knot in the hollow part of that tree. And the water temperature was different than the air temperature, so it put off a heat signature that we were picking up whenever it got like 28 degrees or 30. But if it was 36 to 40, you'd never see anything. But if the temperature got lower than that water temperature in that tree, then it'd show up. And with that knot coming out, it looked just like a head sticking out beside the tree.
Oh,
but,
my gosh.
But
I was
the next
thinking
morning,
fungus or something like that, a fungus that was like generating a heat or something like that. I would have thought something like that.
We've seen that also, but it had a humanoid figure because of the water in the tree, I guess, and that's just what happened. Until the temperature got down around 28 or so, that heat signature wouldn't show up. But the next day we saw it and saw where it was at, and we went up to that level and found that knot on that tree and all that. So it took us 2 trips and about 5 days to figure out what we were seeing on the thermal. But a lot of people won't put that effort into something like that. So
yeah, they just,
debunking.
oh, I got it, and that's it. Yeah, debunking.
Right.
So how did you, what were the circumstances on the LBL 13 howls? Because this is an awesome audio that you guys have, which I'm going to play in a minute, listeners. I promise I won't torture you very long. But how did it come about that was this?
We got little certain spots that we go to, and this one spot that we go to, it's surrounded by woods. It's about a 30-acre field in there, and I'm going to tell you, it looked like 10 million lightning bugs that were flickering in this field, and it was just, it was absolutely gorgeous. And we looked to the FLIR. We saw that there were deer in there, and they were spread apart in there. And so this one booger call that we do, Larry was getting ready to call, and I said, "Well, give me that FLIR. I want to film the deer's reaction whenever you make this call." And when Larry screamed out his howl, the deer just immediately, they bunched up together. They ran together and bunched up and actually put a little bit of a distance between them and the nearest wood line where they were at.
Wow.
And that really surprised me. I was not expecting to see that. And so I handed the FLIR to Larry for him to look at the deer. And about that time, some creature shrieked out 3 howls. And you'll hear me on after the first one, I start laughing because I immediately knew that was a booger. And so I told Larry, I said, why don't you mimic 3 calls like what the booger did? And then Shelley walked over to us and says, whatever that is, that's she was getting ready to tell us that this thing's moving in our direction, and then it shrieked out 3 more calls. And
wow.
we waited a minute or two, and the booger did a single howl, and I thought to myself, this joker is got to be on our side of that ridge, and he's either moving parallel along with us, or he's done got cautious. And so I had Shelley shriek out a call just like what he was doing. And the next howls he did kind of showed that he was just throwing caution to the wind. And then somewhere along the line, he must have spotted us without us spotting him in the FLIR, because he just stopped and went away. But if you'd like to play that audio, it's pretty awesome.
I would. Yes, it is. Okay, I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. I hope it's not too much. Boy, this thing is tricky. Well, come on. All right, let's try this. Okay.
But that's getting closer. Are those deer calls? Yes. No, they're way down at the other end of the field. Be sure to check our backs. 2 of them, man. Don't forget about our backs. I already forgot it.
Wow. Wow. Was there howls at the beginning? Because
No.
at the beginning it didn't seem like it was playing. Okay.
Well,
Wow.
I think there was. They were a little more distant because they got louder as they
Yes.
got closer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to hear them better or whatever, we don't mind emailing the howls to them if they want to look at them on their own spectrogram or whatever like that. They can go to our B.E.A.S.T page on Facebook or www.beastbigfoot.com. Really, the thing that I had questions about was, why didn't the deer bolt for the woods? as soon as Larry, made that call. This makes me wonder if, has the deer been tricked before? Is this a booger hunting strategy? And the spectrogram clearly shows that this critter wasn't a canine that was replying to Larry's calls. It absolutely wasn't.
Wow. Well, that's an awesome. Would y'all like me to play it again one more time? I'm going to play it one more time. I know we're kind of running out of time here, but we play it one more time. Yep.
It's getting closer. It's a booger. Are those deer gone? Yes. No, they're way down at the other end of the field. Be sure to check our backs. Two of them, man. Don't forget about our backs. I already forgot it.
I have to say this, that I listened to the recording on my computer, and it was vastly better than what Blog Talk is playing it. I'm just telling y'all out there. And I apologize because it is much clearer and definitely, that I was disappointed because it's not exactly what I heard when I listened to it on my computer. So if you want to hear it, and I encourage you to get a hold of Mark Newbill on Sawdustt B.E.A.S.T or B.E.A.S.T Sawdustt on their Facebook page and join up. They're definitely wonderful people. They're very helpful, and they share and they're considerate to all people that come onto their page. So, okay, I have two more recordings here. I have Larry mimics an owl, and I have LBL howler versus Dan's coughing. So, which story do you want to go with next?
I guess we could go with Dan's coughing.
Okay.
Dan tickles us. We love us a Dan Ricky.
I know. I love Dan so much. He is so cool. He's just great.
We always have a great time going out with Dan and Vicky at LBL.
They are a hoot, the two of them are.
It's always an adventure, no doubt about it. They're fun to be around.
So you guys met up, the LBL, and was this like one of the first times that y'all had gotten together, or how did this come about?
Well, we went to an outing at LBL, and and some of the outlaws showed up. Bear and Dan and Vicky were with them, and it's really, really kind of funny because Larry and I, we really aren't impressed with names. If you're name dropping around Larry and I, you're not impressing us. Actions, impress us. And
exactly, I'm the same way.
The first time that we went out with them, Bear and Vicky called up 3 different boogers from 3 different directions, and it was just mind-boggling for us.
Wow!
And we just got to be good friends. Well, Shelley, I probably last year spent over 100 hours in a vehicle with Bear. Now, Bear.
God bless your heart.
But we just clicked, and it's funny because Shelley's will tease me and Bear and say, them 2 guys met in a bromance blossomed, and but they just we just really appreciate them so much. We have learned so much from them, and that's what our B.E.A.S.T page is about. These audio clips that we've been listening to tonight, you can I put out YouTube videos on. It's called Sawdustt B.E.A.S.T channel on YouTube, and you can go and actually look at the spectrograms for all this stuff that we have listened tonight. And we had we went. Bear's vision was to go state by state and taking researchers and training them. So we did that in Carroll County, and one of the things that I did was I gave everybody a duty and a responsibility, because these people did not have a lot of experience in the field, and that's why Larry and Shelley and myself, we mesh so well, because we all got our duties, and so that we can focus on what we need to focus on. And I'm going to tell you, just the drive in there to where we went, it is creepy, spooky. And
really,
one thing that I don't understand, and I'm going to say y'all researchers, is why y'all want to drive in there in y'all's trucks and then turn them trucks around and the exit in which you plan facing getting out of there? Why are we wanting to show them headlights through the woods and through the fields and backing up and going forward, backing up, going forward? Why can't we do it like that seasoned deer hunter that when he gets in there, he cuts off that engine and cuts off them lights, and he knows where he's going to put that vehicle at, and he coasts that puppy right in there. I'm not worried about getting out of there, But anyway, when we got to this place, it was on a bridge, and the county had barricaded this bridge. And so we was like, well, what are we going to do now? And I told them, I said, everybody stay here. I'm going to go find a safe route to get on top of this bridge and just check the integrity of it. And that's what I did. And then I went back to everybody, and I told them, I said, let's remember our responsibilities and duties. And we had a file in there, one at a time, and got up on the bridge. And Jack Russell, he's got this FLIR, and it's got a huge screen on it, and it's on a tripod. And as soon as he fired that FLIR up, bam, we had bipedal thermal images, not 30 feet in front of us on the opposite side of that barricade, just shooting back and forth across that road.
Oh, my. Wow.
Well, Bear told them guys, he said, you know, hold your position and don't move forward or do anything that, you know, that might be considered aggressive. And so I backed up near the entrance of getting on that bridge. I wanted to put myself blocking anybody from boating off that bridge because I don't want to look like prey. And then from that position, I could let Tammy and Vicky know that we had painted multiple figures on that bridge. And, you know, there's nothing to be ashamed of if, you know, if fear takes over and you're finding yourself wanting to run. But you just have to keep your composure and back out. If you got to back out, then back out slowly, like that fifth grade fire drill. You know?
Yeah.
So once I saw that everybody that we had on that bridge, they were holding their own. You know, one guy was doing audio, another guy had my video camera. Everybody had their jobs, and once I saw that they were doing their jobs with all this activity going on in front of us, I walked over to Mark Henderson to check on him, and I saw Larry, and Larry's headed towards the barricade, right towards where them figures are. So I left Mark, and by the time that I caught up with him, we were in spitting distance of where them buggers were, and Larry is looking and looking and looking and not saying nothing. And finally he turned to me and goes, dude, there's nothing there. And I turned around and looked where Jack was looking through his FLIR, and I could tell that everybody was still watching and something was going on. And Larry goes, there's nothing there. And the funny part about it is, Larry and I, we start bickering about who's going to have to go back and tell Bear there's nothing there. So
Mark won.
So yeah. So I go back and I tell Bear, I pull him off to the side and I said, look, there's nothing there. I don't know what's going on, but let's use this as an opportunity. We can make a video about debunking evidence. And what it was there was a sign in front of the FLIR and a sign behind the FLIR. The back of the sign saying "Bridge out," and so it was actually hitting that sign and reflecting everybody moving around looking at the FLIR, and then reflecting back off the sign behind us.
Oh,
and it appeared that it was in front of us.
Oh,
and
wow.
And what's really funny was when I went to get, and I'm not going to mention my good friend's name, but when I went to go get the video recorder he was holding, when I reached down to get it, I come up from behind him, and I touched his head first. You see?
Oh, you're wrong.
He got sick. He thought he was God. But we've actually got the video for that on the Sawdustt B.E.A.S.T YouTube channel. And I'm going to tell you, Jennifer Jacqueline Sawyer did an excellent job narrating this video. We've got so many people that come on board that help us with things, and we're so blessed, very blessed.
Well, tell us about the LBL howler versus Dan's coughing. Was this on that bridge, or was this in a different area?
No, that was an LBL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got a video on that too. But Larry, tell them a little bit about that.
Well, Dan and Vicky don't live far from me, so they've always got a seat in my vehicle whenever we go out, and I always get an invite. Sometimes they make it, sometimes they don't. This particular night, Dan had been battling this sickness since he and Bear and Mark had went out to Oklahoma to Brenda Harris's deal out there.
New Mexico.
New Mexico. That's right.
Yeah.
But he said he had bad juju cast on him or something out there. But
about like
been
Dan.
battling this. Yeah. He said he'd been battling. I guess he'd been sick for like 3 weeks with the cough and stuff, but
we all came back with that call.
Yeah. But whenever we go to LBL, like Mark said, we have certain spots we hit, and if we get a feeling about a spot, we'll stop. And I believe this spot we just had a feeling about and stopped, and Dan did some calls, and every time he'd do a call, it would stir up his drainage or whatever you want to call it, his call, and he'd start coughing, and he'd get mad at himself, and then he heard this booger answer him, and he just got tore up and started coughing more. But it's pretty good audio, and it's kind of funny too, poor Dan, but he's got over it now. He's doing good.
Oh, good. I think that's been going around the country. You know, some people are getting the flu and some people are getting this, because I know I caught that twice, actually. I thought I was over it and then got it again. It was the same thing, just cough, terrible cough, you know. That's some bad stuff. I actually had to cancel the show because I couldn't trust myself not to cough all over it. So, anyway, we're gonna play this LBL Howler versus Dan's Coffin. Let's see what we got here. Bless his heart. That was a nasty cough. I want to tell you.
What's so sad is poor Vicky. She's always running a recorder with parabolic. And every time something would go on, we'd all go over there and start talking. And she'd be like, would y'all get away from me? I can't hear nothing. And poor Dan, he'd start coughing, and he'd walk over there right by that parabolic. And Vicky'd just be steaming. But that
I remember
night,
that used to be me, you know. I was the same way. That's all I would do.
That particular night, we had stopped probably 5 or 6 times in other spots and didn't get anything at all. And that, I believe, was about 4 o'clock in the morning, our last stop of the night. We just decided to stop and try one more time and got that.
Wow, that's excellent. Excellent.
And I'll say one thing about Dan and Vicky. Whenever they get going, they're going to keep going. I'm younger than them, and they wear me out. It'll be the sun coming up. Vicky would say, can we hit one more spot? And I'm like, Vicky, I'm tired. We need to go home.
She hasn't changed a bit. They were that way 15 years ago. Oh, my goodness.
They have a passion for it once they get out there, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Okay, so what is the Larry Mimics an Owl response? What is this story on this one? I believe that's our last recording.
Yeah. Well, Larry, whenever you make an owl call, that's one of our strategies with boogers. You don't actually do the owl call. You do a fake owl call, or the way that a booger would mimic an owl. And so that's what Larry did. And then we had one, what we believe is a booger that was doing an owl call back.
Wow.
Because on the spectrogram, it's not an owl.
Huh. Let's play this and see what it sounds like. He's trying to find us. Wow. You know what, Larry, you sound a lot like Kumbo when he does an owl call. Seriously, if I had heard that and didn't know it was you, I would have swore it was Kumbo.
Oh, really?
You know, I almost had that same. You know, I used to do the owl call when I was learning how to do barred owls, and I used to have a reasonable amount of success, but what happened was I got too good at it, and then all I was getting was owls. You know,
yeah,
I got real owls.
I can do a lot better owl call than that. I was just trying to break it up.
You know, that's a great idea, though. Great idea. Well, we have like about 3 minutes left, guys.
Really?
So Yes, but it's been great. I'd love to have y'all back for part 2 or something. You know, I'd love to have y'all back. But what do y'all hope to achieve? What is your plan of action, your dream, your goal? I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Well, mine with our B.E.A.S.T group is Randy Savick really took me under his wings and taught me so much about audio and analyzing evidence, and I want to share that with other people. For me, that's my way of thanking Randy for what he's done for me. And there's been
paying it forward. Yeah,
because I do feel like we stand on the ones before us shoulders. And the things that we have learned from Kane Michael and Eric Tipton about tracking and things like that, being out in the field with them, those guys are awesome. They are just absolutely awesome. And we've trained some great people and got great people. Deborah Faroni she has turned out to be an excellent analyst, and there's just so many people, and it's so good to see people that you could even be homebound, but you've got some type of talent that you could share, whether if it's your woodsman skills or tracking skills, even if you was like a secretary. We document everything from the moon phase to the barometer, if it's going up, going down, notes. You know, there is so much that people could contribute to the community, you know, if they have that interest in it, and we're willing to share that with them.
Okay, how about you, Larry?
Well, to put it simply, because I know we don't have much time, I'm not in it to prove it to anybody other than myself. I enjoy the people that I've come across, and I just enjoy the experience of getting out and trying to figure out this mystery. And that's pretty much it.
Oh, that's good enough. That is good enough. You guys, y'all were excellent guests. I thank you so much for coming on. I hope you enjoyed the interview. I am surprised that y'all behaved yourselves after what I've heard. You know, y'all could be so ornery, you know. And
Vicky would stripe our legs.
Well, I was expecting a couple of rambunctious young men, and I got two very professional gentlemen. And I thank you very much for coming on the show, and I hope you'll think about coming back sometime. And
absolutely, anytime. Thanks for having us.
You bet. Thank you, and it was our honor to have you on. It really was. So everyone, I guess we're going to go ahead and call it a night. Everyone say good night, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
I think Lauren can't say good night, so I'll say good night for her. Good night. We'll see y'all later. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Night Bigfoot Radio.